Hello and welcome to the Mbrl Racing League livestream. We're here today for round 17 of season 6 of the Mbrl Racing League Championship. There are 12 drivers competing today here at Qatar at the Lusail International Circuit. We have a few reserve drivers racing today. Olinas in the Aston Martin. Actually, that's the only reserve driver actually. Oh no, then we have Diego as well in the RB. We are 4 minutes into the 8-minute qualifying session, 18-minute qualifying session actually, and there is no sprint race in this round. It's just a feature race. Not sure for how many laps. But yeah, we've got 18 minutes now for the drivers to set their times, and that will set up the grid for the race coming up very shortly. Let's see who was on a hot lap. Mbrl was on a hot lap. Heading through turn 8 and 9. This is where Logan Sargent crashed about a year ago. Now coming out through 10 and the flat out 11. Now to the triple right-hander. All three of these corners are very quick. Some of them you can lift off on, some of them you can just go flat out through. And this final one you have to brake. And track limits is a massive pain here. That would definitely play a large role in the final results after today's race. Mbrl comes to the line to set a lap time of 1:27.4. He's just behind the two Aston Martins. Daryl's not set a representative lap time yet with a 1:26.3. And then there's Olinas, who is in the Aston Martin today, who set a lap time of 1:24.4. Obviously all drivers on the soft tyre. Andrew coming back into the pit lane. Race chase Rules Taravillo. He's got a new teammate this weekend, it's Del Busto, replacing Palang. And it's Simple in the Haas, Enzo in the Ferrari, and then Big Bruiser in the Red Bull. Only 12 drivers competing today, and there are 13, the top 13 get awarded points after the feature race. So if all 12 of these drivers don't DNF, then added to the championship standings tally. On that note, let's look at the driver standings as we head into round 17 with 3 rounds to go and only 1 sprint round left. So it's Sebastian with the lead, and then it's Rios Taravillo who's 20 points behind him on 241 points. Most of his drivers are obviously competing today as they're in the championship fight. Then a bit of a gap back down to Sebastian's teammate Andrew, who's got 195 points. And then we have Daryl, who's at 173 points in 4th place in the Aston Martin. On board with them. And then after that we have Skid Solo, who's been consistently picking up points. He isn't competing this round. And then we have Enzo in 6th on 146. Simple on 138 points. Race Chase on 100. Then we have Verdugo. Ooh. Interesting, so we'll probably have to restart. think I lost connection there. And now I'm back with 7 minutes to go in the qualifying session. Hopefully the same issue won't happen again. Shows he's got his lap time invalidated. He's in 4th place. Hopefully the issue's been solved now, as the order's changed again. Not the top 4 though, so it's Sebastian with a time of 1:21.3, Del Busto with a time of 1:21.9, and then 1:22.5 for Taravillo. The two Mercedes doing very well there. Del Busto newly joining the team. Both Red Bulls racing today, after it's been with previous rounds. We have Enzo in 5th in the Ferrari, last week's race winner. That was his first win, first feature race win of season 6. And we have Daryl in the pit lane with the 1:24.6. So Alinas is on the hot lap now, reserve driver for Aston Martin today. Going through turn 8 and 9 now. Turn 10 and 11. Onto the flat outs, turn 12. And then lift off through turn 13, not much of a lift off. 14 into 15, and then finally turn 16. He backs up the hot lap as he got his lap time invalidated. Diego's racing for RV this weekend. And he is not on hot lap at the moment. Is Del Busto on the hot lap? No, he's coming back into the pit lane. We've got 3 minutes left, so drivers have time to pit, change to a new set of tyres, and then do a final flying lap to see if they can jump up the order. Quite an important qualifying session, as it's the only chance for them to decide where they could be starting for the feature race later on. There's no sprint race and no sprint qualifying. So now Enzo's on a hot lap in the Ferrari, heading through turn 1. Turn 2 and 3. Only one DRS zone in the circuit. Similar to Bahrain though otherwise. 1-5. Now turn 6. This is a very sharp corner. If you get the exit right, you can definitely have a run down into turn 7. You can often see some side-by-side action through this section of corners. Into turn 10 now. That top 4 has remained the same for a while now. Now going down to the final corner, turn 16. Nasty swapper there at the start of the exit. But he jumps up one place forward, up into 4th. As we see drivers ahead, coming out the pit lane, they're ready to start their final flying lap. Simple's on a flying lap now in the Haas. His teammate Roduco isn't racing today. Much wider exit line compared to Enzo into turn 4. So out of turn 4, sorry. Into turn 8 now. He's got some traffic ahead. That's the Mercedes of either Del Busto or Real Staravillo. This corner is just about flat out, and it's so easy to get track limits there. Now we're into turn 10 and coming out of 11. I haven't raced in Qatar for a while. All 3 of these corners are pretty much flat out. Not turn 15. Gets it slightly wrong there, and is going to have to pit as a result. So he's not going to improve on his current 8th place. Diego crosses the line as he stays in 7th place. Linus having gone out again. Darrow's on a hot lap now. Comes over the line, remains in 9th place. A bit lower down than where he usually is. He's been coming into this weekend that he would struggle with the track limits. Someone's gone back ahead of Enzo now. Oh yeah, it's Real Staravillo possibly. And Race Chaser. Race Chaser's has had a good qualifying session. And he's still on the lap now. But I don't think he's pushing. Andrew has crossed the line going up into 4th place. And Real Staravillo crosses the line after him, goes up into 3rd. So Mercedes and Williams both having very positive qualifying there. And yeah, all the drivers have crossed the checkered flag, and that is going to be the grid for the race. There's going to be Sebastian on pole, with Del Busto alongside him on the front row. Okay, these are the full results. So it's Sebastian on pole, Del Busto setting a lap time 7/10 slower. That is quite a big field spread, but near the top there. And then his teammate Real Staravillo, who is in the championship fight, set a lap time 1 second slower compared to the pole time. Race Chase is going to be alongside him in the 2nd row. Andrew, Sebastian's teammate, starting in the 3rd row alongside Enzo, last year's race winner. Diego, reserve driver for RB, this weekend starting alongside Simple. Darrell, Linus, Ibo, and Big Bruiser rounding up the top 12. A few minutes now for drivers to select their setups. And I think it's going to be a 28 lap or 29 lap feature race. It's quite a short lap time, shorter than last week's track, Bahrain. And it's not a sprint weekend, so just 28 lap, just a 28 lap feature race. I haven't mentioned about the team standings. It's Williams on 455 points after round 16. Mercedes have got a good point total with 294 points, but it's a long gap between those two teams, and I don't think that's going to change. They might I think all the other teams might be mathematically out of contention for the team standings, so that will probably remain the same after the final round. However, there was some unfinished business between Mercedes, Aston Martin, Haas, McLaren, and Ferrari between second and sixth. Anything can change in these final rounds. Quite close between all 5 of these teams. And then we have Red Bull Racing Bulls. So Red Bull RB, Alpine, and Sauber lagging behind a little bit. They haven't reached the 200 point boundary yet. And then the driver standings. Sebastian with a 261 point tallies after round 16. Rubens Barrichello 20 points behind him. Those are the two main contenders for the championship. I think Andrew, he's probably still mathematically in contention, but realistically not. And then Darrell is not too far behind Andrew in the Aston Martin. Guzzola's got a good point total of 150 points, but he's not competing this round. And then we have Enzo on 146 points, 4 points behind Skizzola now that he won in Bahrain. Then we have Simple on 138 points, not far behind Enzo. Race Chase is very close behind Simple on 133. So JP and Veriduca round at the top 10. And then quite a few full-time drivers behind or outside the top 10, including Ibo on 63 points, RK44 on 58 points, who hasn't competed for a while in the Mbrl Racing League. And then we have Ultimista Puro on 55 points, who also isn't competing this round. The Bluster is competing this round, not for Kick Sauber, but for Mercedes, and he's going to be on 30 points. Yeah, so he is on 30 points in 18th place in the championship. Formation lap is about to get underway. There you can see the 12-car grid. Passing the start line, and now they're going to have a lap of warming up their tyres and getting ready for this, what I think is a 28 lap race. Not 100% sure, could be 29. 50% distance. Oh, I forgot. Big Bruiser is 22nd in the championship if you include the reserves. He's on 18 points. So about the Qatar circuit as a whole, quite a unique track. Only one DRS zone, but that doesn't mean there's only one place to pass on the circuit. There are plenty of places to pass. As you can see, it's turn 10. Heavy braking zone, one of the many heavy braking zones here. The lockup can give an opportunity to make a pass into the following corner. Let's go on board with Sebastian. Okay. He is now approaching the final corner, turn 16. And then we have the booster, who's going to be starting alongside him in the front row. Rio Charvillo and Race Chase line up in row 2. Andrew and Enzo lining up in row 3. Third driver today, Diego, starting in 7th place alongside Simple. Aston Martin, 5th row lockout for them. And then Ivo and Big Bruiser rounding out the final row of the grid. Okay. All 12 drivers on the grid. We're ready to get underway. All 5 lights are on. And we're green, we're going. All 12 cars underway. Long run down to turn 1. Sebastian with a very good start there. And Del Busto with a much better start compared to Real Charavillo. Side by side between Race Chase and Andrew down towards turn 1. Nice and clean so far, but is Andrew's got a better exit compared to Race Chase coming out of turn 2. He's got ahead of him. Enzo in 6th place. Simple just behind Daryl. And then we have Diego in 9th place. And that is Big Bruiser getting ahead of Ivo and Linus, who seem to have come to a bit of trouble there. Yeah, they're both going wide. Oh, Big Bruiser now giving the paces back. Okay, that was quite confusing. Any wing damage? Let's go back on board with the battle for the lead. It's Sebastian, who's maintained the lead. And then we have Del Busto and Rio Torvillo. That top 3 has remained the same. Andrew has gained a place, and Race Chase has lost 2 places. That means Enzo has also gained a place. Last week's race winner. That is the RB of Diego going quite wide. He's already got a 3-second penalty. Track limits are going to be a massive problem in this round. We're only on lap 1, and 2 drivers have already got penalties. The other driver is Big Bruiser. There might have been some contact between... there has been some contact. It's Alinus coming into the pit lane now. Oh, he's actually... okay. Much closer than I thought it would be. Heading down into turn 4. But it's Sebastian who's defended his position. Very difficult to overtake there. Not necessarily the case later on in the lap though. Few opportunities could arise for Del Busto. If there's any lockup, possibly down into turn 8 or turn 10. Yeah, very close between the top 3 here, and Andrew's very close behind Rio Torvillo. So is Enzo. And what has happened to Simple, who's ended up in the gravel on lap 2? There you can see the McLaren and the Red Bull of Ivo and Big Bruiser closing in on him very quickly. And Big Bruiser's got ahead of Ivo. He's up into the top 10 now. And it's still very close. Daryl just hanging on to the front pack in 7th place. And then there's a bit of a gap back to Diego, who's gone wide again. Yeah, he's pushing his luck a little bit. Sebastian with the fastest lap so far of a 1:25.9. And now there is a bit of a gap between the 2 Mercedes. Rio Charvillo on the attack, doing everything he can to get past Sebastian. And now coming out of turn 3 and into turn 4, quite a short run down to turn 4, definitely no overtaking into there. Unless the driver ahead makes a mistake. Some action down in towards turn 1, battle for 10th place. Ivo momentarily got ahead of Big Bruiser, and there's a bit of contact, and Big Bruiser, has he got damage to his front wing? I'm not sure, but there was a messy moment there between the 2 drivers, between the Red Bull and the McLaren, coming out of turn 2, and that means that Alinus is now going to try and get past Big Bruiser. Okay, so Big Bruiser's lost his front right end plate, and that's caused Alinus to get past him. Simful's trying to catch up to the rest of the pack in 9th place. There is Daryl, 9 tenths behind Race Chase, who is 5 tenths behind Enzo, who is 6 tenths behind Andrew, and then the gaps increase as we head to Sebastian. No DRS for either of the Mercedes. That's not the case for all the drivers behind them. Sebastian obviously won't have DRS, he's in the lead. Okay, Andrew's going to look to try and make a move down the inside of Reels Charavillo. He gets past him and is up into 3rd place, so both Williams drivers looking to get onto the podium. In this 29 lap feature race, is Reels Charavillo looking to move back past the Williams driver? Not quite yet, and this has resulted in Enzo and Race Chase catching up to this battle for 3rd place as well. Also means that the top 2 have broken away from the rest of the pack. The Race Chase is very close behind Enzo, who's very close behind Reels Charavillo now. We've got some side-by-side action down towards turn 4, and that's Big Bruiser with the outside line there. But losing a place again to Ibo. Those two very close together on the track so far, and Big Bruiser, as I said earlier, has lost that front right end plate, and that will lose him a lot of time. Battle for 3rd, heating up once again. DRS. Oh, you see Big Bruiser there has caused the yellow flag down at turn 7, I think, yeah. That is the Ferrari of Enzo, last week's race winner in the feature race. 3 wide, down towards turn 1. Great racing action between these 4 drivers. And it is Reels Charavillo who's managed to retake 3rd place. Andrew, nearly all the way down to 6th in one corner. He's managed to defend against Race Chase though, and he's only down to 5th place now. If things stay this way, they will have DRS in lap 6, and the order could very much change again. Daryl has been struggling for pace. He struggled for pace in qualifying. He's usually up there in the top 3, but seems to be struggling with race pace too. Maybe worried about track limits. Playing the long game here is very important, as drivers can easily pick up penalties. Very easy to get track limits here, with there being no gravel and no lifting off. Venus there, losing his front left end plate. He's in 10th place. Big Bruiser now pitting. He's got a time penalty, I think possibly for speeding in the pit lane. On board is race leader Sebastian, coming out the final corner, ready to start lap 6. Del Busto, just outside of DRS range. You've got 3 tenths to make up in order to get DRS for next lap. That is Big Bruiser. Getting out of the way. No moves in this battle for 3rd place on lap 6 so far. Down towards turn 4. Bit of a wide moment there by Andrew, and that's going to cost him some time. That means Race is very close behind him now. He's going to try and go for a move into the very sharp turn 6. No. Yeah, later into the race, we'll start. I can guarantee you we'll start seeing some track limit warnings and then some penalties to follow. Very difficult to keep it within track limits here. There you can see just in front of this trio is actually it's Reels Charavillo in the Mercedes. He's broken away from the rest of this battle, which is now for 4th place, and they're defending against Andrew, who's defending against Race Chase. Daryl is now nearly 4 seconds behind that pack, and Diego is 1.7 seconds behind him. Simple on the charge to try and catch up to the rest of the pack now in 9th place. All drivers still in the race, so they're all likely to pick up points all if they don't DNF. Just as I said that, move for the lead. Sorry, not move for the lead. Move for 4th place. That is Andrew getting back ahead of Enzo. slowly starting to recover those 2 places that he lost on lap 5. He's only 1.4 seconds behind Real's driver there now. So Enzo just about stays within track limits there, but goes slightly wide. That's not ideal. Little lock up there for both drivers. Nearly losing it there, nearly looping it round is Enzo. Heading through turn 8 and 9. Now it's turn 10. Something happens to double still. Enzo's got a 3-second time penalty. So that is another time penalty for another driver. 4 drivers with penalties now. Let's see how severe this gets as we reach lap 29. Move for second place. That is because the booster seems to have connection issues and this is AI on now, sadly. He'll hopefully rejoin the session and can hopefully gain some time. But now he's got Andrew right behind him. And Race Chase. Okay, interesting. The gap between Andrew and Race Chase now is over a second. And then we have Enzo there in the Ferrari in 6th place. All of those drivers will now catch up to Del Busto, who has momentarily left the session. And a bit of contact there. Has Andrew got damage? Front wing still intact. Up at the 3rd goes Andrew. And then we've got the Red Bull and the Ferrari very close behind. Heading through turn 8 and 9. The Busto has rejoined the session now, as he's in the middle of that 3-way fight, which he's in the middle of. In between the Red Bull and the Ferrari of Enzo. Trying to go around the outside into turn 12, that might not work, he might get forced wide. He's made it sick though, just about staying within track limits. The Ferrari driver, last week's race winner. Up into 5th place. The Busto, who was in 2nd, who momentarily left the session, is now down to 6th, but will be looking to make his way back up to where he was a few laps ago. Diego has been gaining on Darrell in the most recent laps. As I say that, Race Chase and Andrew battling, but Enzo looking to take advantage of the battling and trying to get up into 3rd place. Battle for 3rd heating up once again. The booster now 2.7 seconds behind. Big Booze has picked up another penalty. Darrell and Diego side by side. Inside line for Diego. Now to turn 5 we go. Avoids contact just about. Great racing action. Down into turn 5, but nasty lock up there, and that will lose him some time. Might need to be a little patient here. Now heading into turn 7. It looks like Diego will wait to the main straight, the only DRS zone of the circuit, to make the move past Darrell, who is currently in 7th. Back to the battle for 3rd. You could expect to see a move down to turn 1. Possible change in the order here. DRS for Andrew and Enzo. What's that going to do down to turn 1? We're going to have some side-by-side action, possibly 3 wides. It's Race Chase who does not have the DRS and loses out 2 places there. And it's Andrew back up into 3rd. Let's go forward with the Red Bull driver. Down towards turn 6. Probably the slowest corner of the circuit. And definitely an overtaking opportunity. Let's see the tyre compounds. All drivers starting on mediums, and Big Bruiser's not on the medium tyre as he has pitted for hards earlier in the race. They're all drivers going for the same strategy. Tyre wear quite extreme here, just as it was in Bahrain last week. The last week was more challenging as there was a sprint race as well. Okay. DRS open. Looks like Enzo's now really close to Andrew. He's going to have the inside line, heading down towards turn 1, and is going to have a comfortable lead heading into turn 1. Is this battle for third going to keep? We're going to keep on seeing these changes of positions between third, fourth, and fifth place for quite a few laps until the pit stops come. The booster in 6th. Gap now 2.2 seconds. And now we're gonna. Okay, so Diego has got ahead of Daryl and accidentally missed that. Another penalty for Big Bruiser. Driver down in 12th place on 4-lap old hard tyres. This will be a graphic that we'll be looking at a lot today. Penalties. By the end of the race, I imagine there'll be at least half the grid, half the drivers competing today picking up some sort of penalty, most likely for track limits, and that can definitely affect the race results, especially with the field this close. Drivers just seconds and under 1 second away from each other, such as this battle for third place. Andrew going wide, that can compromise him down into turn 16, coming out of turn 16 and into the DRS zone. The booster has now taken off a second in that battle, as you see Iber going lap there. Let's watch this battle for third from the driver behind. That's Andrew retaking third place. Enzo's not giving it up though. He might go for the move down the inside. No, he's going to bail out of it. And Race Chase did a very good pace compared to previous rounds. And is managing to keep up with this battle for third. And definitely a podium is up for grabs for the driver in fifth at the moment. Little swapper there for the Williams driver. That will close up the gap even more. As I say that the boosters are going to join the party as well. 6.8 second gap on track between Diego and Del Busto. He has picked up a 3-second penalty for track limits, and he's got Daryl for company right behind him in the Aston Martin. Other Aston Martin Valinas, he's got a 3-second penalty and is 20 seconds behind. Simple. That driver ahead is Big Bruiser. He was a lap down compared to him. It's Iber getting out the way. So De Busto, it looks like he's going to have DRS, as will the Race Chase, as will Enzo. That won't be of any use as Andrew's now coming to the pit lane. There's no one to move past him. So Enzo, very unlikely to have DRS on the following lap unless he pits. But Andrew has come to the pit lane. What tyre compound has he changed to? It is a new set of hard tyres for the Williams driver. Are we going to see current race leader, his teammate, Sebastian, in the lead of the championship at the moment, come to follow him into the pits on the next lap? Go back aboard with Enzo and Race Chase. Unlike the previous few laps, Enzo will not have DRS as Andrew has pitted and is therefore not in front of him anymore. Heading through the quite quick turn 15 and into the slower turn 16 as we head into the DRS zone, coming out of turn 16 now. Sebastian into the pit lane as predicted. He's likely to come out ahead of his teammate obviously. He's in the net race lead, but will on track drop a few positions. Enzo and Delbusto follow him. Race Chase is in there too. All three of those drivers in that battle are going to be alongside each other. And I think they're going to have Simple in the battle as well. Yeah, so Simple and possibly Andrew. So Andrew, has the undercut worked? It really looks like it has. So Andrew's retained that third place, and it's got a bit of a gap between those three drivers now. All three of those drivers who've just come out the pit lane will be very unhappy, so Andrew's now pulled away from them. That's Iber getting out the way in the McLaren, driving 11th place. Ooh, what's happened to Andrew? Nearly racing ending moment there. Lost it heading into turn, either coming out of turn 4 or heading into turn 5. But yeah, nearly into the barriers there. Wasn't much closer than you think in Qatar. So Andrew will need to do some work to try and catch up to this back again. Driving now in 9th place, on track. Not the net 9th place. Now we've got Del Busto, who seems to have quicker pace than the two drivers ahead of him at the moment. In the earlier stage of the race. He's right behind him. He's going to have DRS coming out of turn 16, as will Race Chase. Rivster and Villo have now come into the pit lane. As you can see, the majority of drivers. Or any of... Okay, so that's the Red Bull of Race Chase. Looking to bring a move down the inside. Not quite enough, heading out of turn 1. The two drivers behind Enzo are very close behind him. That's a Busto. A possible rare move down to turn 4. Not going to work out this time, but definitely, possibly into the very slow, sharp corner. Tight corner. Heading out of turn 6 now. Nothing happening into turn 7. Very important to avoid track limits and spinning here, which Race Chase nearly did. Wide line from him. And the booster's right on his tail now. Okay. Much more aggressive tight line there. Diego pits in the RB. Ooh, a little wide moment there. Okay, so that is Simple, who's coming to the pit lane. That very close battle between the Red Bull, Del Busto, and Enzo. Heating up once again. It's Del Busto past Race Chase now. Side by side, as you can see, between the Mercedes and the Ferrari, Del Busto goes wide. He gets past. The Del Busto now up into 4th place. However, the lock up there, that's going to cost him a lot of time. Enzo also had a slightly slow exit there. Wow, he's going to go down the inside and big contact there. That's Race Chase to go ahead of Enzo. Has Enzo got damage? Yeah, he's got some damage to his front right end plates there. But Enzo down to 6th place. Very optimistic move there. And he might need to pit again for a set of medium tires possibly. Andrew's right behind him now. That's the Williams driver. Getting past him up into 6th place now. And yeah, Enzo's now going to be under pressure from the drivers behind. I imagine he'll pit. Daryl's finally come to the pit lane. Where's he going to end up? That's Enzo making his 2nd pit stop. It will be quite close between him and Diego coming out the pit lane, but I think Diego's actually going to get past him. There he is. actually going to be about whether Darrow can stay ahead of Simple. The undercut seems to be very powerful here. He is going to get ahead of Simple, but not by much. That gap is definitely closed between the Haas and the Aston Martin there. There is Enzo, who's now down in 9th position after that contact with Del Busto. He hasn't been on board with the leader for quite a while. It's Sebastian, championship leader, having a very consistent, quick feature race so far, looking to take the win in round 15. Sorry, not 15, 17. Driver ahead of him is Big Bruiser, who's going to be lapped twice now, I think. Yeah. Gets out the way. Meanwhile, down in 3rd place is Del Busto, who's got Race Chase right behind him in the Red Bull. Yellow flag in sector 2. We are approaching that right now. Who is that for? That is for the Red Bull and Big Bruiser. So it's Big Bruiser who's made an error down into turn 8. Sorry, turn 7. Now into turn 10, and it's Race Chase doing everything he can to stay within DRS, which he has failed to do, sadly. Oh, actually, he still might be on here. He's struggling to stay within DRS range as we're approaching the detection points. Right now, and he's outside that. Sadly, he's very little ERS as well heading into this lap. So no DRS for him, and that gap is likely going to grow. Now heading to turn 1 now. About 4 seconds behind. He seems to be equal in pace to Race Chase and Enzo, who's now pitted, sadly. Let's see how quickly he can get past the drivers who he was quicker than, but who he is behind right now. So yeah, Enzo, gap now under 9 seconds between him and the drivers ahead. He'll first have to get past Simple, and then Daryl. 2 very experienced drivers in the Mbrl Racing League. Could be quite a challenge. As Olinas now getting lapped, 3rd driver to be lapped. He is 39 seconds behind the driver behind him. However, if there is a safety car, he will be comfortably in 10th place. The driver behind him will be 2 laps down, whereas he will be only 1 lap down. So yeah, nothing to worry about from behind for him if there's a safety car. And then with Enzo in 9th place, gap now 7.6 seconds. Simple and 4.1 seconds behind Daryl. Daryl 6 seconds behind Diego. That's Big Bruiser getting out of the way. Gap now 2.7 seconds between Race Chase and Del Busto. Big Bruiser seems to be struggling with the pit lane entry. He's picked up 3 penalties now for that. I think he might have picked up a track limits penalty as well. He is still in the race, and if still, if he stays in 12th, he will pick up a few points. Coming out of round 17. Let's see how the driver standings would change if the finishing order was to stay this way at the end of lap 29. We only got 9 laps left, including this one. Sebastian is the leader, with Real Charavillo behind him. Those two, first and second in the championship, in that order. That 20 points gap is likely to extend if things stand. And Andrew would lose some ground to Race Chase and Del Busto. However, they are quite far behind him in the championship, and he won't lose a position. Daryl is set, who is his main rival at the moment, is likely to score a lower points haul, as he's down in 7th place. So that gap will grow between 3rd and 4th place in the standings if things stay the way that they are at the moment. Liverpool's also on track to maintain that 7th place, and Enzo's also on track. Huey's likely to get ahead of Skid Solo, who's not competing this round. You can see all 3 of those drivers battle for 3rd, closing in slightly. Race Chase is actually now starting to close in on Del Busto. And Andrew is only 5 seconds behind, so he seems to be quicker than both those drivers at the moment. Real Charavillo is only 5 seconds ahead of Del Busto, and the gap is now 9.3 seconds between him and the race leader, Sebastian. On board is Enzo, which has put him down into 9th place now. He's also got a penalty. Ooh, what's happened? Is that Big Bruiser getting out of the way? Yeah. Yellow flag there, and that is Big Bruiser. I think he's getting lapped again, I think a 2nd time. By the 3rd, 4th, 5th, and the 5th place driver. Sebastian has set the fastest lap of a 1:23, well basically a 1:24.0. Board with the RB driver, reserve driver for this weekend, Diego, in 6th place. Very consistent race for him so far, apart from the track limit penalties. Then we have Daryl in 7th, Simple in 8th, Enzo in 9th. Big Bruiser's now out the race. That's Alina sledding the Mercedes by, who's a lap ahead of him. Okay, so gap now closing between Race Chase and Del Busto. It's now 1.3 seconds separating the two. Andrew's now 5.8 seconds, so he's lost some time actually. Now 6 seconds. Yeah, so Race Chase seems to have a very quick setup here in Qatar. Oh, actually, he's actually going to get DRS here, I think. Yeah, so he doesn't have much DRS, but he will have DRS, possibly. It was very tight. Okay, he's actually missed it. I missed that. So, Race Chase does not have DRS this time round, but it's all about trying to get that gap under 1 second between him and the Mercedes driver in front. Enzo's picked up a 3-second time penalty. He's only got a few laps now to get past Simple and create a gap, because Simple haven't picked up any penalties. A lot of drivers playing it safe this round. Quite surprised by how little penalties there are. It's very easy to pick up track limits penalties here. Sebastian has started lap 25 out of 29 now. 5 laps to go. Then we have Andrew, Diego, Daryl, Simple, Enzo, Alinas and Ibo riding at the top 11 now. As 12th place driver, Big Bruno has DNF'd and will not score any points. Gap has closed down a lot between these two. It's Del Busto against Race Chase. Battle for the final place on the podium, it looks like. I don't think Andrew's in it now. He is 6.7 seconds behind those two. And then we have Diego on track 11 seconds behind, but he does have a penalty. And Daryl has not picked up a penalty, driving behind him, who is 8.2. He's now 9 seconds behind Diego. Simple has got Enzo for company, but Enzo does have a penalty. So let's check the penalties now. Okay. So Enzo has a 9-second penalty. I doubt he'll be able to create a 9-second gap. And him and Simple wants to get past him. As I say that, we've got a battle for 3rd place. Raging on down towards turn 1. It's Del Busto for the inside line. Race Chase behind him. And Race Chase will have to wait another lap. Being very patient here. Still hasn't got past the Mercedes driver. However, Del Busto has made a little mistake there coming out of turn 4. And that's caused that gap to close once again. Now coming out of turn 6 and into 7. A little bit of a... Oh, he backed off there. Not sure what happened. That's quite unfortunate actually. He's now 1.5 seconds behind. Is he going to be able to close that gap? Andrew's now pushing. 3.9 seconds between him and Race Chase now. Okay, I completely missed that Del Busto had a penalty, a 3-second penalty, so all Race Chase needs to do is stay within 3 seconds. He knows he's quicker, maybe that's why he backed off. What that is also doing is that's giving more of a slipstream to Andrew, as that gap closes. Okay, so now we've got Enzo with a 9-second penalty. Gonna try and get past Simple as soon as he